What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and I have, well, over 10 years flight experience flying RC and quads and FPV, and here I am with the Hubsan Zino Pro. I have to give you a little bit of a rundown for this drone before we get started checking out some of the footage. I have to say that right out of the gate, it impressed me because the video is way better than the original Zino Pro. They worked out a lot of kinks inside the drone itself, the processing power and the speed. They've upped the bit rate to around 60 Mbps, which is super great. In comparison to something like the DJI Mavic Mini, that one has 40 Mbps for its bit rate. So this has an even faster bit rate. This one does have less of a flight time, but it is a bigger quad and it can handle more wind. So if you're looking for something that you can really get out there and send it, if I was going to go on a trip and I had my choice between the Zino Pro and the Mavic Mini, I would definitely pick this one up and take it with me because it fits in the small bag that it came with, and it still can fit underneath in my travel luggage as my under seat bag that we call it. Just slides under the airplane seat in front of you for travel, and it's pretty small. So it will fit in my laptop bag, which is awesome. But what's great about it is I think that number one, upgraded video looks a lot better. The battery time is around 20 minutes, but for around $380, I get basically kind of like the Fly More combo. I get 3 batteries along with it. These are 3S 3000 milliamp batteries. These charge up in about 2 hours time, and you can see they slide right in the back right here. And we have the 4K gimbal in the front, which is also a 3-axis gimbal. What I like about this version of it also is that they did include a gimbal cover, which is kind of nice. And if you remember watching my original Hubsan Zino video, it got a lot of views and I had a lot of fun with that drone. But what worried me about that one versus something like the Fimi X8, which I reviewed, which got great reviews, this had some gimbal stutter. I'm just going to move these arms so you can see what I'm talking about. It kind of shudders back and forth there a little bit when I shake the drone. And sometimes if you have a firmer setup dampening from the top down to the camera, when the wind blows, it's not going to get as much jello in the video. And that's kind of a big issue with some of these toy drones that have super lightweight gimbals, since they get that shudder. And this one worried me again, and because it had that same type of gimbal on there as the original Zino, and very similar to the Mavic Mini. They both have that sort of almost toy-like looking gimbal, and that worried me. But in this review, I have to say that the footage looks pretty damn good, and it looks very, very acceptable. I would take this along with me again. I would take this on a trip over top of the Mavic Mini, just because I've heard some issues with the Wi-Fi on the Mavic Mini. It's just the transmission, once you get super far out there, it is questionable. What I like the best about this drone is that when I sent it, the previous Zino didn't have a very far range. It only had 1,000 meters. This one has 4,000 meters. That's going to get me out there about close to 2.5 miles, 2.4 miles, and around 4 kilometers. And a 20-minute flight time, 4K video. The transmission on this one is 1,000,000 times better than the original Zino. I didn't have hardly any breakup. I flew way, way, way out there, and I had no lag as well. I had a full line of sight most of the time. There was some breakup when I was behind a house, obviously, but if you fly anything behind a house, sometimes you will get breakup. But let's go ahead now and let's get this one out there. I think you're going to like the footage that you see with this. It is also foldable and pretty portable. But one of the other big reasons I have to say is that you should buy this one over top of something like the Mavic Mini is that this one also flies in windier conditions. And if you're looking to take one of these out to a coastal place where you have a lot of wind, and most of the time on the Oregon coast for sure, and North Carolina coast, we have a ton of wind. Out there in Hawaii too. If you're taking any trips to any type of place where you're going to go to the beach, you're going to need a little bit heavier quad to really send it out there and get some nice video without really draining your battery, because a little bit of extra weight goes a long way when it's windy. So let's go ahead and put up the Zino Pro, and I'll show you some of the footage, and we'll talk about the characteristics of this one. It is looking like a 5-star quad right out of the box. Very, very nice quad. So let's go ahead and fly now. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Let's get it up in the air. And I'm telling you guys, I'm flying in an area where there is a bit of wind today, and the weather's really not the greatest for getting a quad up in the air. It's overcast, and these are the conditions that I generally don't like to fly in. I like to fly in those, you know, beautiful cloudless sunny days, but this is actually a really good test for this camera. So looking back at the village right here, this is Hatteras Village on an overcast day, and with no ND filter on here, no other filters, just a raw stock footage, 4K, downsampled to 1080p for YouTube. Of course, it might look a little bit not quite as good on YouTube, but what I see here on my screen looks really, really nice. The details are high, and it almost looks like I could take a still from a lot of these shots and use it as a photograph. Really, really nice. But what I noticed right away was that the camera gimbal is so smooth. It's really, really smooth. I'm doing my slow reveal right here. And one other thing that I really have to show you is how well the panning works with this camera. It's a really slow moving gimbal. So when you move the wheel on the camera, when you pan down, it's really, really slow, and it's not jerky. It doesn't have any kind of weird twitch when you let go of the gimbal wheel like some of the other drones out there do. You can tell that the user let go of the gimbal. Now we're just going to get a little down shot right here. And I didn't see a lot of props in view. Only when I made really hard turns did the sort of props come into the view. Right here, I'm just going to turn around back that other direction right here, checking out all these canals and streams through here. And this is the area where I grew up, folks. I grew up playing around on these shores, fishing, crabbing, and just living the good life out here. About 30 miles out to sea where I'm from. Small fishing community, very touristy, very, very seasonal. And man, look at that view. That is absolutely gorgeous. Really, really nice. Now I'm out over the water, over the Pamlico Sound, and this is a little sketchy because if I have any failure right here, it's going in the drink. No chance of recovery. I've actually lost RC aircraft out here before, and it's almost impossible to find them, especially a quad or a drone. They just sink to the bottom immediately. And all that seaweed down there, you see all that black stuff way down there. And look at this pan. This is what I'm talking about. That gimbal movement right there is so smooth. I love that. What was so cool is that the transmission from my phone worked perfectly, and I was worried about that. You can see the little tiniest seagull down there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Just following him along about the same speed. Man, that guy has a really nice lot there on the left. He has the perfect playground right on the water. But again, the lag didn't exist with this drone, and I did get it past its range, and it automatically got into failsafe and turned around and came back until I had transmission again. And you're able to get the Zino Pro out there way further and so much more of a playground than you have with the original Zino. I wouldn't have been able to get half of these shots with the original Zino. It would have lagged out, well, about a half mile out. Not even a half mile, I would have been lagging out. There's a little bit of stutter right here. This is the only time that I saw stutter, when I was flying sideways for this sideways pan. But I love this. It shows the boat docks down there. And then we have the entrance to Hatteras Harbor right here, where all the charter boats come in. They come in about 4 p.m. and unload all the fish and the catch of the day. Super nice. Especially if you've had a charter before, you come back with so much fish, it's really worth the money. But this is what I'm talking about. As far as, you know, you can see that there is some chop down there. There's a little bit of ripples on the outside of the bulkhead right there, and that'll tell you that it's about a 15 to 16 mile per hour wind today. We don't have white caps. White caps will be above 25, of course, but I grew up out here kiteboarding and watching this water to know when I could go kite. And generally I wouldn't fly any type of aircraft in between houses like this, on a sort of a lower shot like this, if I didn't feel like I had a good real-time view from my phone. And I've tested a lot of drones, you guys, and I have had some that I wouldn't even get out a quarter mile before I had lag. And just coming down this street right here, we call this the Yellow Brick Road. Sort of my little runway right here. Coming right back up to myself in my car here. And check this out. Is that awesome? That was a really, really fun flight. And I had quite a few flights with the quad, and I didn't have a lot of issues. And right here, I'm really at about 20% battery, and this is where you should bring it back in. And I really wanted to chase that boat and get a nice shot of him bring in. He looks like he has a bunch of crab pots there, but I didn't want to risk and try to avoid falling in the water, so I came back to land. But absolutely wonderful experience, and it handles quite a bit of wind and brings you back some really beautiful video. I'm actually quite impressed with this quad. Let's go back to the studio. Alright guys, welcome back into the studio. This is the transmitter worth having. Finally, they've released this transmitter and really upgraded the range on the Zino Pro, making it well worth the purchase finally. The original Zino comes in around $299, and this one being around $389, I believe it is, on the Banggood website. It just makes it so much better value, plus you get the 3 batteries along with it. I have had quite a few 4K drones in to review lately, and I like these batteries because they do charge in a couple hours time. There's another one recently that I had, one of the eSheen quads. It took like 5 hours to charge each individual battery. That's quite a long time to wait. So if you're trying to get all your batteries charged up before the next day, that's going to make it a challenge if you have more than a couple batteries. 2 batteries would be 10 hours worth of charging, which is crazy. It'd be 6 hours worth of charging to get all these charged up. But let's look at the transmitter. We have a return to home button right here, power buttons in the middle, and you have something called normal and sport mode. So if you want to make this baby go around 40 miles per hour, you can switch over into sport mode, which is great. It does handle quite a big phone on here. It handled my iPhone with an OtterBox, which was really nice. Some of the other transmitters won't do that. You got a photo button here. This is your gimbal wheel, and you have your video start and stop button right there. And again, they have the same type of gimbals on here. I don't think these are like super great as far as feeling like kind of like a toy. They do feel a little bit toy-like, but the way that they respond now with the upgraded system, it flies a lot better than it did before. So these aren't bothering me quite as much as they did before when the first Zino came around. But I think it's a pretty compact transmitter, and I do like the fact that it does have an internal battery as well. You can charge it on the side right here. It gives you 3 different cables in the box. You get one for iPhone, Android, and you have to plug that into your phone and into the side of the transmitter to get this working. And I believe these might actually be real antennas because I do see a wire inside here. So I'm just going to zoom right into that. It's not a fake transmitter antenna, which is really nice. And it also has an LED display here for the amount of battery inside your transmitter. So right now it's looking for the drone, and I'll just go ahead and turn it on for you guys and watch that initialize. And it's on. We've got red in the back, blue in the front. Pretty cool. You can hear that fan working hard here. And we do have ultrasonic sensors on the bottom, and we also have altitude hold, GPS return to home. We have something called panorama mode. It'll do sort of a panorama, slow turn and reveal the whole environment right to left. You can set the direction in the app, which is kind of nice. Let me go ahead and turn this back off, and let me show you what comes in the bag. So this is the bag that comes along with it. It does kind of have like a sort of a faux leather type of feel on the outside. What I thought was nice is that it does have a pocket in the front right here for propellers or anything else I want to put in here. It also has a zipper there with another string on the zipper, which is nice with a little pull. You can pull that and close it up. And same thing for the top. Open this up and there is your Zino inside, resting on that top compartment. It has two compartments inside here. If you look inside, you'll see the directions here. And just below here is where all of your batteries, accessories, charge cables, and other items can be stowed underneath the quad here. I'll just take everything out and show you guys. And it's nice they do give you 3 different phone connector cables, which I like a lot. And last but not least, on the bag you also get 2 mesh pockets on the side, which is cool. You can stuff some extra stuff in there, and I got like 3 pairs of propellers, it might even be 4 pairs of extra props, and the right screwdriver to take those on and off, which is kind of nice. It's looks like a flathead actually to take those on and off. Really nice. And 1, 2. Where's my other one? This looks like we have the iPhone one here and the Android, and I believe there was one more in the box. And this is the charger. It's the balance charger that takes 2 hours. You'll see these turn green. They'll be red to begin with, all 3 across, counting all 3 cells. If one of these goes out, you might have a bad cell in your battery. And what's also extra nice is they do give you a car charger. So if you're driving somewhere, you know you're going to the beach, you can use that to charge on the way. And you get a charge lead, which this just plugs into the balance port on this side of the charger. And then this little guy right here plugs right into the battery. And here is your AC adapter for plugging it into the wall. And last but not least are my 3 batteries that came along with this bundle, that 389 bundle. I'm getting about 20 minutes real-time flight with this battery. It says 23 minutes on the specs, but I think in average conditions, like a 15-mile-an-hour wind, you're gonna respectively get about 20 minutes flight time out of each of those batteries. But again, I think the big positive of these is that they do charge quite quick on the charger that comes along with the Zino Pro. So that's everything there is in the bundle, and hopefully you guys got something out of this review and you learned a little bit more about the Zino Pro than you knew before. There are some other reviews out there that you can check out too, and not just take my word for it, of course, but in my opinion, I think it's probably one of the best releases that Hubsan has come out with, and it should be, because now we're at about the 3rd generation of this drone, and version 1, 2, and 3, here we go. So this is a really, really nice update, and I'm glad they fixed and worked out a lot of the kinks and the bugs in the transmission, the range. They almost tripled the range on this drone. So and the video looks actually way better than the original. A little more crisp, not quite as fuzzy, and you're gonna have usable stills, which is really nice. And I'm really impressed. What I'm most impressed by is the fact that when I move the gimbal wheel, it's a really nice, slow, cinematic move. It's not a real jerky, quick, stopping gimbal like we've had in the past. When you let go of the thumb wheel, you could always tell that the gimbal has stopped, and it was really hard to get your speed right on some of those slow down, up and down pans. So they've kind of fixed that with this new one, which is really cool. So again, I gotta say, probably a 5-star drone, guys. But thanks again for subscribing and hanging out on my channel. I had quite an adventure with the Zino Pro, and hopefully you grab one and do your own adventures, because you're going to love it. No lag, and it flies great. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care. I'm Justin Davis.